Oh, welcome back, everyone. Oh, it took a second there for the chat to get caught up. But I can see everyone's back. Welcome back. J-Blade, welcome back. C-Dubs, welcome back. Drizzler in the house. Keeping everyone honest. Welcome back. Meowdy, everyone. Koi's, welcome back. Gang's all here. Through that. K. McAdee. Thank you for the Prime sub 15 hours ago. We get to evaluate the glorbability of all Jokers. Evaluate all the glorbos. Can we donate to charity to influence decisions again like last time? Yeah, I guess. I did think about that, and then maybe that's a thing that we could set up. I guess I could set it up right now still. E-Bomb, thank you for the 10 months of Prime. I guess this is what I want to know. What I want to know is like how quickly can I set this up? Trevor Project. Enter goal amount. I don't want to enter a goal amount. Preview my donation panel. I think all I got to do is hit start. That's it. 3 easy steps. Started successfully. Did it work? Oh, I gotta push this button to turn it on. Wait. Maybe? How do I... Fundraiser is now active. Viewers can now donate to your cause. Okay. We got a PNG redeem for the negative dock border. I want this to look somewhat presentable, so we're not going to do the border. If you want, we could go negative dock though. Here's the thing about tier lists, right? You make a tier list, you put it on YouTube, everyone will come back to it forever. 500,000 views for sure. Can I stand upside down at the top right? I could do that. We could do upside down. Let's go. Okay. And then I do one of those, and then I do one of these, and then how about flip like that? Do one of these up here. That looks good. How about that? Does he read the YouTube chat? That's a good question. Depends on how fast the chat is moving. It depends on what I'm working on. If I'm speedrunning, the answer is no. Crop Duster, thank you for the 3 months of Prime. Mod poll. Which Joker decision do you think will be the most contested by chat? Oh, as a mod poll? I guess that's difficult to do as a poll, right? Because the polls you only get like 5 options. Well, what would even be the options for the poll? Yeah. Tell us what 5 options you want. Beginning of stream, it's hard to read any chats because the things moves quickly. Agree, especially if I'm like distracted because I'm setting something up and then I gotta look back and forth, I can miss a lot. Zens, thank you for the 2 months. Excited for the seminar? Almond Joy. You know I do enjoy an Almond Joy. Almond Joy, thank you for the super chat on the YouTube side of things. Happy Halloween, everyone. Can't wait for this video to autoplay after every single Balacho video now. Yep. The tier list to end all tier lists. And then it just gets repeated and suggested to you forever, over and over again. Almond Joy is for boomers? Yeah, maybe. Definitely more popular among older generations, for sure. Salvagey got converted from an 8-ball hater to an 8-ball tolerator. I should introduce you to my man Zeno. I bet you he could sell you on an 8-ball. the 8-ball peddler himself. There he is. Welcome back, Zeno. We can teach them? Not everyone wants to be taught. You know, I was a teacher for a while. 10 years I taught university mathematics, and some people just aren't ready to be taught. That's okay. University is not for everyone. You could be perfectly successful, have a perfectly happy life without university stuff. They teach you a bunch of stuff that you don't care about, and they don't even try to give you a reason to care about it. And that's okay. You know, whatever job you're going to end up doing, most of the stuff you're going to learn on the job anyway, on the job training. So usually what a university degree is, it's not guaranteeing any specific knowledge. It's just guaranteeing like, hey, this person generically has an ability to learn things. And so maybe you should hire them for that reason. Anyway, yeah, so if you don't really, care too much about your college calculus class, I think that's valid. I think universities require more people to take calculus than people actually need calculus. And not enough people are required to take statistics. I think statistics should be required for more majors instead of mathematics. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Because I feel like statistics, that's one of those things where like maybe you don't use every day. Like there's some math stuff you learn, but you don't use it every day. But it changes how you think about stuff. Even if you don't bust out the notepad and do the calculations, it changes how you absorb information. People will quote statistics towards you, and then you want to be able to interpret that correctly, cut through the noise. We're doing Trevor Project today? Yeah. Seemed like the right thing to do. Had to take stats as a computer science major. Yeah. So like computer science, other kind of sciences, they require statistics. Everyone should take statistics, in my opinion. Definitely regret college. The reason why I did it is because that's just what people do. It's like, oh yeah, if you want to be successful, you got to get a college degree. That's what they told me. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll do that then. Oh, if you want to be more successful, you get a more advanced degree. All right, I guess I'll do that then. Linear Algebra 2 is a cool math class. I think linear algebra is a cool topic. Agree. Linear algebra is one of those that's like very applicable mathematics. A lot of the stuff that you care about has some kind of linear algebra running in the background. And so maybe that's like a reason to buy in. Maybe that's a reason to care about linear algebra a little bit. Not necessarily to the point where you actually learn any of it, but you know, at least you like perk up and pay attention. Are we ranking based on white stake or gold stake? That's a good question, which we will come back to in a little bit. We've already gotten some donations from the Drizzler and Zano. Okay, looks like it's working. All right, so here's what we're doing today. We're doing all Jokers tier list. There's 150 Jokers. Eventually, we're going to get them all on here. And we've got a fundraiser going. We're going to raise money for the Trevor Project. So Trevor Project, they work on mostly suicide prevention, crisis intervention for LGBTQ and other youth, mostly young people. Crisis prevention and suicide prevention, or sorry, crisis intervention, right? So for folks who want to, you know, as we're going through the tier list here, as I'm making judgments and I'm telling you about different Jokers, if you want to sort of influence me, if you want to introduce a second opinion into the mix, you can donate money towards that. So we've got already $100 from the Drizzler. We've got $69.67 from Zano. Already another $50 from Diet Soda Addict. Yeah. Thank you for helping out, everyone. Thank you for donating towards what I consider a good cause. You know, regardless about how you feel about, you know, potentially LGBTQ issues or whatever, crisis intervention and suicide prevention in children and youths, that's probably something that's a good thing to do. Mustafa Ferris, thank you for the $5. All right. So here's the thing about tier list that, well, first thing I want to say about tier lists is people overestimate sort of how useful tier lists are. I think a lot of people are just lazy, and so it's like, okay, well, I don't want a lecture, I don't want a textbook, just give me a screenshot. Let me see, okay, this one is higher than that one, right? That's what people want. Also, you know, people, there's this kind of antagonistic tribalism where it's like, okay, let's hate on something, and then let me get my friends together and we'll hate on it together, and that makes us feel better about ourselves. You know, us just echoing our opinions back at each other, right? And I think in interpreting a tier list, I think people miss a lot of nuance. And so we had this question earlier about, you know, are we evaluating these Jokers in white stake or gold stake? There's a lot of different ways to play the game. There's a lot of different contexts in which you play the game. Not just gold stake versus white stake, but there are some Jokers that you would like to see in the first couple antes, and maybe you don't want to see later on, right? Baron is, okay, we recognize as one of these very high scoring Jokers, but maybe the Idol is not something that you want to see in the first two antes. Maybe Baron is not something you want to see in the first three antes or something like that. You want to get it when you have built around it. Even something like Hack, if you get it early, you can start building around it. But if you find it later and you haven't built around that, if you started out doing something completely different, then okay, well then the Hack is not really going to do much for you. So we've got, okay, the context of high scoring run versus just trying to barely beat ante 8 on gold stake. Those are different contexts. You know, potentially different points in the run, early on, later on, in the middle, that kind of stuff. There's different Joker rarities, and so common Jokers are, well, they show up more commonly because they're supposed to serve a certain purpose, right? And they're not going to be as strong potentially as the rare jokers, but they still do a thing. They are in the game for a reason. And so as we're evaluating the jokers here, we should think about, do the jokers do what they promise? Do they do what they're supposed to do for their rarity, for potentially the different costs of the jokers? These, on the first page jokers, I've got the sinful jokers, and we've got the sort of generic plus mult and plus chips jokers. These common jokers are supposed to show up early in your run, and they're supposed to be easy to build around, easy to link into. And then maybe the rare jokers and the uncommon jokers, you have to commit a little bit more. They can be stronger, but you have to commit more. If I want to do something like photograph, can be very powerful, but I got to commit to these face cards. Same thing with Baron and Hack and Sock and Busket and those types of things, right? Also, I think the artwork matters to me. Maybe it doesn't matter to you, but it matters to me. I think also some jokers are just more fun to play with than others. So not just like, is it mechanically useful? Does it fit into whatever run you're on? How does it feel to play? If there's a joker that maybe we don't like, can it be improved by just making the number bigger, or does it need a complete rework? Same thing with the jokers that you think of being too powerful. Can it be fixed by just making the number smaller, or does it need some other change, perhaps? All right. Safi, thank you for the $15 for the Trevor Project. All right, first one on the list is Jimbo. All right, Jimbo is just a generic +4 mult, but it only costs $2, right? There's $3 jokers, there's $4 jokers, there's $5 jokers, and then this one only costs $2. So it is the cheapest joker. It does the least of all the jokers, except for maybe Flower Pot. We'll come back to Jimbo. So what I want to say is, I guess we could define what the tiers are. So we've got S tier is going to be graduating with honors. So that means not just acing its class, but every class. Okay, we've got solo group project. So your hard carrying jokers in the A tier. You've got B tier is going to be see me after class. You're making some mistakes, and we have some room for improvement here. I think maybe you're not in C tier here. Maybe you're not qualified to be in this class at all. Maybe you should be in a different class. Or instead of just kicking you out of this class, kick you out entirely, expelled in the D tier. I think most common jokers, as a default, probably we should put them in C. And then maybe some common jokers overperform for a common joker, and we can move them up higher than that. Same with uncommons. I think uncommons okay in B, and then rares as A. And then we can move them up and down, right? So, loyalty card. Okay. Loyalty card. Let's see. Where is loyalty card? It's Tech said, I see you, loyalty card. You know what? Actually, I don't see you, loyalty card. There's so many jokers. There's invisible. Loyalty card's got to be somewhere in the middle, right? Row 2? Okay, that helps. Thank you. Wait, is it row 2? Oh, it's right here. That's why I didn't see it. It's on the edge there. So, uncommons here, as far as uncommons go, is this worse than your average uncommon? Yes. Why is that? So, the loyalty card, it's ×4 mult, which could be very powerful. It's just really inconsistent. It's every 6 hands, which usually is every other round. So you could think of it as one time you get 4 times mult every 2 rounds. That's got to be worse than something like Acrobat. Acrobat is guaranteed every round. Acrobat is a ×3, so Acrobat is not as powerful, but it is every round. And one thing that's kind of important in the game is this consistency in which you're scoring. The scoring requirements from one round to the other is 50% more than the previous one, and so that's not a big jump. You want to be scoring about the same amount each round, a little bit more each time in order to survive. And loyalty card can give you this burst scoring, this one hand that maybe one way that I think I could justify loyalty card is you use it to beat difficult bosses. You use it to beat bosses that you would otherwise not be able to beat. So maybe it does nothing, small blind, big blind, and then you use it against the boss or something like that. I think on white stake, you typically don't need loyalty card for something like that. Typically, you want to be using all of your hands for value generation. Maybe you use your hands as discards, save your discards for things like mail and rebate, or maybe Faceless Joker or Purple Seals or that kind of stuff. You play your hands to dig for your gold cards and blue seals and stuff like that. And also true on Gold Stake, but on Gold Stake you also have fewer discards, so you have to potentially use more hands as discards. Potentially those you want to have your stacking jokers where you're playing all of your hands every round. Maybe you've got you're playing pairs or high card or two pair on Gold Stake, and you have to play all of your hands every round. And so the loyalty card you can't as easily control when it's going to go off, right? And just using it for the bosses, maybe that's not something that you have control over. And so I would say, okay, I don't really like the loyalty card for that reason. The way that I can tell that the loyalty card is bad is I ask the question, okay, if we make the number bigger, do we feel better about it? If we change it to a times 10 Joker, do we like the loyalty card now? Would we ever use the loyalty card if it was times 10? I think the answer is still no. I think that's how I know it's a bad design. The art is cool, and I think it's thematic. This kind of it does nothing for a while, and then on the sixth thing, then it does some kind of payout. I think what I would like to see from the loyalty card is maybe we have enough of these X-Molt Jokers, we have enough of these scoring Jokers. It'd be cool if there was some kind of value generation Joker, right? Where it's like, when you do a thing 10 times, you get a free thing. Like maybe makes... Sorry, changing the wrong number on the card? Well, I guess you could also have it occur more frequently and have it occur like 4 times, or after 4 activations or after 4 hands it does the thing, after 3 hands it does the thing. I think that's bad design. I think that's worse design. I think then it's just worse Acrobat. Whereas like Acrobat is always at the end of the round, it's predictable, whereas the loyalty card would then be less predictable slightly. So that's a worse improvement, right? That's a non-improvement. Also, then I like the idea that you have to be loyal to the loyalty card, right? You have to live through the times when it does nothing in order to get the reward. And I think the reward should not be scoring, but the reward should be some kind of value generation. Do a thing 10 times, get $50 or something like that. Or do something 6 times and then get a coupon tag. You get a free shop or something like that. And for that reason, expelled. All right. I think... Let's see here. Let's look at some common jokers. So we've got Jolly Jokers +8 for pairs. We've got Zany Joker for 3 of a kind. Mad Joker's 2 pair. And then we got Crazy Joker straights, and then Droll Joker. So of these, we've got the Molt Jokers, we've got the Chips Jokers. I think between all of these, most of the time you prefer the Molt Jokers early on. So the problem with the Chips Jokers is in Ante 1, you really just want that Molt boost. If we think about, okay, if I have a flush is kind of like 75 chips times 4 Molt at level 1. And if I do Crafty Joker, then that doubles my chips, so that's like a ×2 score. If I have Droll Joker, then it takes me from 4 Molt to 14 Molt, is kind of like a ×3. Or even a more dramatic difference if we have Jolly Joker or Mad Joker or something like that. So that's like kind of how I think about these, is like early on, the Molt is going to do a little bit more than the chips are going to do. Actually, sometimes a lot more. Sometimes as much as if we have, let's see, maybe Glutinous Joker here, it gives you +15. So if it takes you from 4 Molt to 19 Molt, that's kind of like a ×5. Is much stronger than Crafty Joker giving you like a ×2. But if I already have a Molt Joker and I get another Molt Joker, then now the second Molt Joker is only doing as much as the first one is. So now, like the first one, if your base mult is 4, then this could be a ×3 or it could be as much as a ×4. But then now the second one is only 2 times as much as what I previously had, and so you have this kind of diminishing returns on these additional sources of plus mult. And so then you want to mix not just plus mult, but then now instead of getting a second mult joker, I could get a second chips joker instead. The common jokers, because they are commons and you see so many common jokers per shop or so many common jokers per ante, you get a lot of them and you can kind of just choose which one you want. And then they show up early and often, and then later on, then you sell them, you swap them out, right? In general. Later on in your run, you're getting more chips from your planet cards. Of course, the planet cards give you chips and mult, but if we look at something like, where is it? Steven and Todd. Where's Steven and Todd? So Steven is +4 mult, Todd is +30 chips. So it's like 7.5 times as many chips as you get mult. If we think about Empress, the tarot card gives you +4 mult, and then bonus cards give you +30 chips. So that's like 7.5 times, right? The planet cards, if we think about Saturn is 30 and 3, that's 10 times instead of 7 times. Pluto is 10 and 1, which is again 10 times. And so it's kind of like planet cards give you more chips than they do give you mult. I mean, obviously 30 mult or 30 chips on a Saturn card is more than the 3 mult that you get from the Saturn card, but it gives you a higher ratio of chips to mult than you would get from jokers. And so if we're getting a lot of chips from our planet cards, then we don't need the chips jokers as much. And so these chips jokers really do the best job in ante 2, and then that's it. Like ante 1, you want the mult jokers. Ante 2, you want to add a chips joker to that, and then once you get to ante 3, then these chips jokers start to fall off, and that's fine. I think if I'm playing a lot of gold stake, I think about I really like that Sly Joker. Even though it's not as big as these other chips jokers, you can apply the extra chips to kind of any hand. And what I think about is Sly Joker allows me to create something from nothing. Usually if I'm playing the higher ranking hands, I'm getting a lot of chips from the cards that I'm playing. Whereas if I'm playing high card or pair, I'm not playing a lot of cards, I'm not getting a lot of chips that way. Whereas if I have Sly Joker plus something like Abstract Joker or Mystic Summit or the Banana or Half Joker, there's just so many jokers, the Fifth Misprint, there's so many jokers that give you mult, there's not that many jokers that give you chips. And so once I have something like Sly Joker plus the Fist, now I'm very safe scoring-wise. Obviously, if you're on white stake, the scoring requirements are lower, but you still care about, I need to score enough in order to survive. And with this combination, it's really space efficient, Joker slot efficient. This does all that I need to do for the first 10 rounds or something like that. And I can use all 3 of my other Joker slots for value generation. So I think, Crafty Joker, or sorry, Devious Joker, and no, this is Crafty, this is Devious. Devious Joker and Crafty Joker, these give you chips to a hand that already has a lot of chips. Sly Joker gives you chips to a hand that doesn't have any chips. And so I think Sly Joker then more valuable than the rest of these. I don't think these need to move down, though. I would even say Sly Joker might move up. Of all the different chips jokers, I think that one's the best. I think maybe Wily Joker is the worst because 3 of a kind is really difficult to do. Maybe I would say, which one is this? This is Mad Joker. I forgot which one the 2-pair one is. I would say Clever Joker. That might be it. Yeah, Clever Joker. So I would say Clever Joker goes above the Mult Jokers even. I would say Sly Joker goes above the Mult Jokers even. I would say maybe Zany Joker goes down here. So if we're just thinking of it in terms of like what is the hand that's most reasonable to play, I think 2-pair is very reasonable. Maybe I would put Mad Joker even above, what did we say it was? I forgot. I already forgot. Clever Joker. I would say maybe, yeah, Droll Joker over Crazy Joker. Crazy Joker is plus 12, which is a little bit more than Droll Joker. Thanks, Tech. It is clever. All right. Any objections so far? Do I want Sly Joker a little bit higher? I think I do want Sly Joker a little bit higher. Mad Joker's fine down here with the rest of these. Two pair is easier to play than flushes, but it's not necessarily free. Maybe Zany Joker's fine above the Chips Jokers. All right, so this is going to be the baseline, right? And then now we're thinking about if I've got, also flavor-wise, it's cool that these have kind of the similar color palette. So Jolly Joker and Sly Joker, and then these other pairs. Let's see here, Crafty and then Droll Joker, but they're still kind of plain. There's still kind of like 5 Jokers that look the same, except they have different colors is the only difference. In game, you know, as you're learning the game, I think that's cool because then if I'm completely new to the game, if I'm seeing you know, these Jokers for the first time, I can say, oh, this, which looks like this, must do a similar thing, and it does. These are the plus molt ones, and then the other Chips Jokers. So for I think the design is useful for helping people learn the game. I think in general, these types of Jokers tell you what the game is about. If you're completely new to the game, they're like, oh, okay, you could play all of these different poker hands, but this is going to give you a reward for playing flushes. So now instead of playing any poker hand, now you play specifically flushes. They tell you, if you're a new player, they tell you what the game overall is about. If you're playing a gold stake run, they tell you what the current run is about. They give you some direction in the early game. I call these signpost Jokers. All right, what about, let's see here. What about the sinful Jokers, I call them? So the difference between the sinful Jokers and, let's say, Crafty Joker gives you, no, Droll Joker, sorry. Droll Joker gives you plus 10 to a flush. This gives you 50% more if you play a flush, which matters a lot in the early game and then stops mattering later once you start picking up planet cards, which themselves give you molt. But I can play any flush with Droll Joker. Here I have to play a specific flush. And that matters a lot in the early game. That matters a lot on Gold Stake, where you have access to fewer deck building resources. Sorry, Kitty, what was that? Omega said not to disrespect Lusty Joker. We'll see. So, let's see here. I was saying, yeah, the sinful Jokers, really difficult if you're in a situation where you need more than one flush per round. And usually on the gold stakes, you have the higher scoring requirements. And so I do need those 2 flushes. And this is perfect for ante 2. Ante 2 big blind is 1500. Even against the boss, you play a 1500 flush with one of the sinful Jokers, and you can add something else. Play another, maybe one more flush for 300 points after that, or something like that. The designs are cool. I like that they got the different suit colors. I've heard a complaint about potentially there are 4 of these suit Jokers. Because there's 4 suits, there's 4 Jokers. All of these tell me to play flushes. Droll Joker tells me to play flushes. This tells me to play flushes. This tells me to play flushes. Of all of these page 1 Jokers, so many of them, a third of them, tell me to play flushes. Is that bad for the design of the game? To have so many Jokers that care about flushes. There's also the suit Jokers at uncommon, another set of Jokers that care about flushes. I think that's maybe not an issue for me. Again, here I kind of like that these signpost Jokers, they tell you, they give you a direction in the early game. They tell new players, okay, kind of what is the game about, so that you can, okay, if this Joker cares about hearts, let's try to get more hearts somehow. I think even though you're playing flushes with all of these, potentially you could be building in different directions. Potentially you could have different synergies with the different uncommons. Feel like they should be +4. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I would say, in the game there's higher flush hands. There's the straight flushes, there's flush houses, there's flush five, right? One way that you can improve your deck is you can have more cards of the same rank. Another way to improve your deck is you can have more cards of the same suit. Since there's only 4 different suits, you're more likely to end up with more cards of the same suit than you are to have more cards of the same rank, starting from 13 different ranks. And so naturally the game lends itself to these flush variants. Flush house, flush five, those types of things. And so I like these. I also like that, there's the bosses that debuff all of the cards of the same suit. And so, there's some potential danger with these. These have additional flexibility over something like, let's say, Droll Joker. So Droll Joker, you have to play a flush. Greedy Joker, you don't have to play a flush. In Ante 1, you could take Greedy Joker and just play a straight that has 1 diamond. That's it, just 1 diamond, and you can one-shot the big blind. 2 diamonds, you can one-shot the boss. You can play full houses, you could play 2 pair, you could just play a pair that has 1 diamond in it, and that's fine. So I like that these give you more versatility, and I like that they exist so that you have access to that more versatility than maybe something like Crazy Joker forces you to play straights specifically. Also, long term, if we're thinking about if you are playing a 5-card hand, potentially you have more enhanced cards in your hand. So you're having maybe bonus cards, maybe you're having glass cards, steel cards. Greedy Joker and the other Sinful Jokers, these have synergy with steel cards and glass cards and re-triggers, which maybe Droll Joker doesn't have. And so I think these are just way more exciting in every way. I would put all of these, as far as commons go, these are premium commons. These are the kind of Jokers which you could keep with you until the end of the game, or at least very deep into the game. Maybe Ante 5 or 6. I guess we just have to decide between all of these, which do we like better? Bean actually talked about this already, and Bean was like, okay, well, if I'm thinking about the Arrowhead is spades. Arrowhead gives you chips, so maybe I want Wrathful Joker. If I have to pick one of these 4, I'd rather have Wrathful Joker. Maybe Glutinous Joker is a little bit redundant if Onyx Agate already gives you Molt. They kind of do the same thing, but Onyx Agate just does it better. Happy Halloween, Cece. Glad you could pop in. Bloodstone always hits. Yeah, so the thing about Bloodstone is it gives you, if it works, which it doesn't always, if it works, then it gives you times 1.5 on the first one, and then times 1.5 on the next one or whatever. These additional +3s that you get from Lusty Joker maybe don't matter as much. So I would say probably something like this. Wrathful Joker, because of Arrowhead, gives you chips, so Wrathful Joker is always going to be relevant there. Greedy Joker, because even though, even though the Rough Gem doesn't give you a lot of money, it still gives you money. And so maybe Greedy Joker is nice for that reason. Are these better than Sly Joker and Jolly Joker? I would say better than Jolly Joker, not as good as Sly Joker. Sly Joker allows you to get away with nonsense. These don't. This Sly Dog, yeah. David Offbeat, thank you for the Prime sub. Cece, thank you for the 18 months. Sorry you got to roll out of here, but thanks for dropping by. All right, speaking of nonsense... Oh, yeah, Bean was saying, okay, would like the Sinful Jokers to be +4 instead of +3? I agree. So, when we're playing on Gold Stake, we end up just playing a lot of pairs on Gold Stake. Why is that? Because pairs are so reliable, you always have a pair, or you almost always have a pair. It can be difficult to get more than 1 flush. If you're playing on low stakes, you only need 1 hand per round. You only need 1 flush per round. But if you're playing on higher stakes with higher scoring requirements, you need multiple flushes, but maybe you can't draw multiple flushes. So maybe it's just easier to play pairs. And then because it's so easy to play pairs, I don't care what's in my deck. I don't care what's in my hand. I can take value generators like gold cards, blue seals, gold seals, purple seals. I can just jam whatever, and then still consistently be able to play my pairs. That's part of it. Part of it is also if I want to use something like a blue seal, I need to be careful about what cards I'm holding in hand, and maybe with flushes it's harder to hold on to 5 cards and at the same time hold on to a blue seal or a gold card. If you're playing pairs, you just dump 5 cards, play 5 cards, draw 5 cards, play 5 cards, draw 5 cards, right? Rough gem is better than onyx agate? Maybe, we'll get to that. Anyway, so the promise of the 5 card hands is I can score more points with one 5 card hand than I can score with potentially multiple high card or multiple pairs. Is that true? Well, it is true if you have access to glass cards and seal cards. If you have access to retriggers. Maybe it's not true otherwise. Maybe the idea is if I'm playing 5 cards, I can play 5 enhanced cards. I can play more red seals. I can play polychrome holographic cards, stuff like that. But those things are kind of difficult to obtain, and even more difficult on the higher stakes where your resources are constrained. And so I think instead of doing something like Wrathful Joker giving me plus 15 molt for a flush, even if my deck is 100% spades, even if I'm playing 4 flushes, couldn't you just do Bus instead for like 30 molt? Couldn't you just do Green Joker instead for 40 molt? Couldn't you just do Red Card for 70 molt instead? And so here's what I want. I think Empress needs to be stronger. I think Empress needs to be plus 5 molt. I think the suit jokers, the sinful jokers, need to be plus 4. I think Steven needs to be plus 5. What I want to see is I want to see more rewards. I want to see more incentives for playing full houses and 2 pair and those higher ranking hands. I want to see more incentives for playing straights and flushes and stuff like that. But then Steven isn't even? Okay. Another idea. So we got Smiley Face is plus 5 for face cards, and we've got, where is it? Scary Face is plus 30 for face cards. So how about this? Steven stays plus 4. Todd becomes 25. I would do that. Empress and Hierophant can be 5 and 30 for molt cards and bonus cards. The Sinful Jokers, we can raise them to plus 4. Todd is too strong. Todd giving you 60 chips for a pair is too strong. You would think, okay, Todd only applies to those pairs that have odd cards, and maybe not all of your pairs have odd cards, but almost half of your deck is odd cards. So it's very difficult to not find those. Todd, you can also apply those extra chips to not just a pair of odd cards, but you could play high card odd cards. You could play a straight that has 3 odd cards. Todd has way more flexibility than Sly Joker. Not only flexibility, but it's just stronger straight up, which makes sense because Sly Joker is a little bit cheaper and then Todd is a little bit stronger. Todd, if you play 5 odd cards, let's say a full house or maybe even just 2 pair, is 120 chips. Is kind of insane. That's like half of a stuntman. And that's not counting retriggerable effects like Chad as a common Joker. Stuff like that. Todd is too strong. Hot take, Todd is too strong. I'll put Todd up here. If this is if the average commons are here, and then your premium commons are up here, like Sly Joker is a premium common, I think Todd is a common that needs to be nerfed. Okay. Now, with all this said, where do we put Jimbo? So, here's our baseline commons. Given the versatility of it, I think it's better than all of these, at least. Better than Droll Joker, better than Crazy Joker. Also, it only costs $2. You buy it for $2, you sell it for $1. It actually only costs you $1 in total. He's so cheap, he's good. I love it when you get a foil Jimbo or a holographic Jimbo, and it's discounted. It's great. Would I rather have Mad Joker or Jimbo? I would probably rather have Mad Joker. I think at the end of the day, it does matter that the number is smaller. I would say that's fine. Now, Half Joker is nuts. Half Joker is 20 molt. So here we were talking about before, if you're playing fewer cards, you're getting less synergies, potentially. Half Joker says, okay, it's got to be high card or pair. Theoretically, you could play 3 of a kind, but if you are consistently able to play 3 of a kind, you're at a point in the game where Half Joker is irrelevant to you anyway. Jimbo should be plus 10? Nah. Plus 4 is fine. So, Half Joker is definitely better than Jolly Joker. It's definitely better than Sly Joker. I think the chips, there are other ways to get the same thing. Even just 2 Mercury cards, that's already 30 chips. But Half Joker is kind of irreplaceable. Maybe even I would put Half Joker up here. I think a lot of... I talk about Gold Stake runs as Half Joker as being something that kind of dominates the first 5 antes is good enough. But then also, if you're just playing on White Stake, if I think about, okay, Half Joker giving me plus 20 molt and making it really easy to score, then I can do my other 4 Joker slots are all value generators. So if I take something like this, where not only is it giving me a lot of points, but it's giving me a lot of generic molt that I can apply to kind of different hands full of garbage. We should have a Joker for retriggering aces. We don't necessarily need a Joker to retrigger every rank, right? Is that necessary? Would you sell loyalty card for a Jimbo? A lot of the time, yeah. Why am I upside down? Because we're just hanging out today. We're just chilling. All right. What other kind of common Jokers do we have? We have Mystic Summit is another kind of generic plus 15 molt. I think I would say Mystic Summit's gotta be better than the Sinful Jokers. I think it doesn't have the longevity that the Sinful Jokers have, but it is just easier to use. So one thing that can be challenging sometimes is you don't want to score too many points too fast, right? Obviously, you want to score enough points to survive whatever round you're on, but if I want to try to save my discards for mail-in rebate, I want to play my hands before discarding. If I want to, do the same thing with Faceless Joker or Purple Seals or Blue Seals, you want to score not too fast, potentially. And Mystic Summit's nice in that you can kind of turn it off when you want to turn it off. You can play your hands before discarding. The problem with Mystic Summit is it doesn't do anything until you use all your discards. So if you need the points, then you need to use your discards. If you use all your discards to set up your hand, you no longer have discards left over to set up a second hand. And so I think Mystic Summit is fine down here, but I wouldn't put it any higher. Half Joker is easier to use than Mystic Summit. It's easier to toggle it on and off, and also it just does a bigger number. The Fist, I think, is better than all of these, and maybe even close to Todd. I don't know, between the two of these, maybe it's close. So Mystic Summit, or the Fist has all of the benefits of Half Joker and Mystic Summit. The extra benefit of the Fist is extra synergy. So if you don't know how the Fist works, it says, the card in your hand gains the ability to give you molt. That's not what the card says, but that's what the card does. And so if that card is a red seal, then you can re-trigger that card and you can get the Fist value twice. You can also re-trigger this with the Mime. You can also has combination or synergy with steel cards. Fist is almost as good as Square Joker for sure. Yeah. Misprint, I hate it. Is it better than Mystic Summit? No, because it's unpredictable. Is it better than the Sinful Jokers? Probably. Load-bearing bucket, you're not a fan of Misprint? I mean, at the end of the day, we have to admit that Misprint is from 0 to 23. It's like 12.5 on average. And it's any hand. Every hand you play gets molt. On average, fairly good. On average, it's for sure better than Jolly Joker, right? If Jolly Joker is only +8, the fact that it's just bigger number is relevant. That's important. I think the design of it is cool. Maybe even like Mystic Summit, I think is kind of bland to me. I don't really get it. I'll be honest, I don't really get it. Mystic Summit. Half Joker, I understand. Half Joker, and then you play only 3 cards, or you play less than a full hand of cards. I get it. I understand. Misprint is cool. The artwork is really nice. But it's just for sure stronger and for sure more useful than the rest of these Molt Jokers. That's it. There's tech with misprint? Yeah. I mean, that's a thing that you could do, I guess. It's not usually super relevant, but that's a thing that you could do. The problem with misprint is it's random. And so when you need the points, sometimes you don't get the points. When you don't need the points, sometimes you score too much. You know, kind of like lucky cards. Sometimes we talked before about sometimes you score too much and the round is over and you don't get to generate as much value as you wanted to do in that round. And misprint is like that. I would say whether or not variance matters depends on how much variance it is. It depends on how close you are to the goals. So if you think about, let's say I wrote about this in the Discord recently, but imagine you're taking an exam, right? And I offer you, okay, you got 2 doors. Door number 1, I'm going to give you 5 extra credit points. That's it. No strings attached. You just go there, you get 5 extra credit points. Door number 2, we're going to flip a coin. Okay? If you get heads, I'm going to give you 50 points. If you get tails, you just get nothing. You don't lose anything, you just get nothing. So like those are your options, okay? You know, door number 1 guaranteed 5 points. Door number 2, you have 50%, you get 50 points. And if we're just talking about expected value here, okay, if you get 50 points half of the time, then on average it's 25. Which door do you take? Bean says, okay, well, we just take the 50. We take the 50 points because I like those odds. Bean will just get the 50 every time, right? Okay, what if you're within 5 points of passing the class? If you get the 5 points, you pass the class. If you don't get the 5 points, you fail the class. You know, this is like some exam, and you know the points that you get, that makes the difference between you passing or not passing, right? Then of course you take the guaranteed 5. You don't need 50 points, you just need 5. But you know, you have a chance of not just passing the class, but you could, you know, with the extra 50 points, you could go up a grade level even. You know, do you take that chance? Is that something that you want, that you care about? So in Balatro, usually the thing is like, you don't need to score a crazy amount of points every round. You just need to score an enough amount of points every round. That's it. And then keep doing that enough times. And so the predictability matters. Having something that's potentially lower expected value, something that has a lower average but is more predictable, that matters. That's important. All that said, I think still prefer having misprint. You know, whether we're talking about gold stake, whether we're talking about white stake, I think misprint does the thing that it needs to do better than the sinful jokers. And the few times, the main way that you get boned by the misprint is if you're playing a 5-card hand and it's like, I only have 1 shot at this. I need all of the points right now. If you're playing 4 pairs, then you don't care, right? Some of them will be high, some of them will be low, but then on average, it'll work out fine. And so if we think of misprint as just being Jolly Joker but stronger, then that's it. What about Abstract Joker? Abstract Joker is like misprint, but then it's always. It's like Mystic Summit, but it's always. And I think that makes it up here with Habsies. I don't know. I'm on the fence. Could be down here. B, could be A. The art's too cool to put it down there. All right. Banana. Amazing. 11 out of 10. Banana's great. Banana does all the same thing. It does all the things that Half Joker and the Fist and the... No, that's not true. It does all the things that Abstract Joker does and Half Joker does. But it also has the extra flavor of being able to unlock the Cavendish. Maybe I could see it this way. Maybe I could see it. We could go like that. Michelle down one, Cavendish up one. Turbulence 2, thank you for the 6 months. Uber Weirdo, thank you for the 4 months. David Offbeat, thank you for the Prime sub. Abstract carries for the first 3 antes, for sure. Tech wants to ask about the egg. Egg is a value generator. We'll get to the value generators later. What do we have left? We've got there's Steven, there's Scholar. We've got Bus and Supernova. They are in another category. I guess the egg is in another category. There's Banner as a Chips Joker. So here we've got Chaos the Clown as another value generator. This is Scaling. This is Chips. This is Chips again. This is Splash is kind of in its own category also. Green Joker's up here with the Bus and the Supernova. Basis Joker, value generator, to-do list value generator, superposition. Red cards up with these. Maybe Square. What else? Photograph is also kind of a unique thing. And, okay, so mail-in rebate. Hallucination, reserved parking. Fortune teller is Scaling, kinda. Man, there's so many common jokers. I guess there's like 50 of them, but yeah. Golden Joker. Popcorn is perishable is kind of interesting. Walkie Talkie up with the Scholar. Smiley Face cares about face cards. Swashbuckler. Did I get all the commons? I think that's it. Also Shoot the Moon. All right. Yeah, let me know if I missed any comments. I think that's it. The Chad. Oh, where's the Chad? The Chad's here. Okay. So let's go to Popcorn here. Popcorn does... It's like Abstract Joker, but it's perishable. Golden Ticket. Another value generator. Okay, sure. Popcorn, would I rather have Popcorn or Misprint? I'd rather have Popcorn, I think, because Popcorn's predictable. Would I rather have Mystic Summit or Popcorn? I'd probably rather have Popcorn in most situations. I like the idea that, you know, if we compare Popcorn to these other food jokers, these other perishable jokers, Popcorn goes really fast, doesn't it? Popcorn is the only joker here with butter. Oh. Popcorn's good for 2 rounds, maybe 3. I mean, if you go down to 8 mold, that's still as much as Jolly Joker. Would I rather have Popcorn or Mystic Summit? I guess Mystic Summit is also perishable. How long are you holding on to your Mystic Summit? Yeah, these are, I mean, Misprint, Mystic Summit, Jolly Joker, these are all perishables anyway, right? Even if you're playing on White Stick, these are perishables. I don't feel very strongly about Popcorn. We could put it there, it's fine. What about the Swashbuckler? Swashbuckler is better than Mystic Summit because it's more generic. It's kind of like Abstract, just worse. I put it below Sly Joker. Obviously, it has a really cool synergy with Gift Card and Northern Lion, the egg. Here's what I want in Balatro 1.1. I want more ways to increase cell value. I want more cell value synergy. I want, okay, hear me out. Swashbuckler includes the cell value of your consumables. Swashbuckler most of the time is like, I don't know, it's like plus 10 or, you know, sometimes plus 11. It's never as good as Abstract Joker. Abstract Joker is plus 3 for each Joker, including itself. Swashbuckler only counts your other Jokers, doesn't include itself. Abstract's plus 15, Swashbuckler's like plus 10 or 11. Swashbuckler is just a bad Abstract Joker. Agree! I agree. It's like Abstract Joker, it just does the same thing but worse. It has potential synergy, but gift card's an uncommon Joker, right? And Swashbuckler gets worse on the higher stakes when you have rentals, which is not necessarily Swashbuckler's fault. But what if you have negative egg? So okay, this is what I want. Swashbuckler goes down to $3. No, that's not what I want. Swashbuckler includes the sell value of your consumables. So if you have, then it's way more interesting, right? Because it's like I have a whole horde of consumables, maybe interesting consumables. If I have gift card, I have even more synergy with the Swashbuckler. Counts himself? Nah, can't. Not himself. Abstract Joker counts itself. All right. Smiley Face and Even Steven, I think between the two of these, they're going to be better than the Sinful Jokers. I think it's interesting that it's easier to get more cards of the same suit than it is to get more cards of the same rank. But you don't actually need a lot of cards of the same rank. So, like, in a typical game, you just discard half of your cards anyway. So, I like Smiley Face as, you know, above the Sinful Jokers for sure. I think maybe I value it higher than Misprint. If Misprint is going to be 10 on average, then Smiley Face is 10 whenever you play a pair of face cards. You could play 2 pair and get 20 molt. This is not counting any other synergies. Not counting anything else that I could do with face cards, I think Smiley Face is just generically good on its own. And then, of course, even better with those, you know, face card synergies potentially. One thing to think about, okay, Photograph is a common Joker. You're going to see Photograph a lot. Photograph, of course, if you play a full house or something like that, a 4 of a kind with face cards, maybe Photograph does a lot in those contexts, but maybe not otherwise. Photograph is really good with the Sinful Jokers because you can play a flush that has just one face card, and then you get all the +3s before you get the ×2. That's the ideal scenario. Photograph is a little bit awkward with Smiley Face because Smiley Face gives you 1 +5 and then ×2, and then potentially more +5s. But it's still worth it to do that. If you're playing a pair of face cards, if you're playing 2 pair of face cards, if you could just do high card with a face card, I think it's still worth it. Sorry, Plager had some info. Missing delayed gratification, Scary Face business card. These are all the comments that I'm missing. So you're telling me Scary Face as a chips joker, you're telling me delayed gratification as a value generator, you're telling me business card is here. Riff Raff. All right. Do I like Smiley Face over Popcorn? Yes. Do I like Smiley Face over Mystic Summit? Kinda, yeah. But not as much as the Swashbuckler. Also, just look at it. Just look at it. What a cutie. All right. Where's the credit card? Credit card is a value generator. Credit card's right here. I'm going to put Riff Raff. Here's the thing about Riff Raff, okay? It is way less good if you have it later and you have jokers that you care about, but like the art is super cute. This little tiny Riff Raff guy. Two jokers that you don't have to pay for. I mean, you have to make room for it. It takes up joker slots. Think about this. What about a joker that takes up 3 joker slots and gives you $10 per round? That's all it is. It's a golden joker, but it's a triple wide golden joker. So $10 per round at the cost of 3 Joker slots. Would you do it? I would. That sounds like a good time. I mean, you can always like sell it later, right? You can always, when you feel like you've gotten what you came for, you can always sell it later. Obviously, very good on higher stakes because Riffraff doesn't give you rentals and perishables and eternals and stuff like that. Wide Jokers would be cool, maybe. Can't generate cards with stickers. Waterfall's got it, yeah. Said the thing that I was gonna say. Random negatives? Sometimes. Alright, sorry. Jamsy gave us $15 for the Trevor Project. Jamsy, sorry I missed it a couple minutes ago. Jamsy, did you want to jump in here? Was there an objection we had? Or maybe some additional context you wanted to help us out with? Sorry, chat's moving kind of fast. Jamsy might be, oh, we got an ad break right now. We'll check in a minute. Scary Face is like Smiley Face, but it's chips. It's like Todd, but we only have, you start with 3 ranks are face cards, 5 ranks are odd cards. Another reason why Todd needs to be nerfed. Scary Face is almost as good as Todd, but not quite. What about your donations, Audrizzle and Zano? I guess we did log those. I guess at any point, if you want to jump in with a second opinion, feel free to jump in at any time. We all know what Zano's going to say. Zano, if you're available, tell us which Joker belongs in the S tier. Do we have Jamsy back? Is this tier list going to have a standard distribution? If we've designed the game well, shouldn't it? The most of the Jokers are going to be in the middle, and then there's some really good ones, and there's some really bad ones, potentially. Jamsy's gone entirely. Okay, we'll see if... Controversial, but Lucky Cat. Okay, what do we love about the Lucky Cat? Alright. Lucky Cat is scaling Exmult. This is powerful. Okay, it's okay. So that's one thing that we look for. So among all the different uncommons, one thing that the uncommons do that the common Jokers don't is they give you scaling Exmult. That's something that we only get from uncommons, maybe some rares. Okay, so that's new. That's powerful. Of the different Jokers that give you scaling Exmult, I guess we can say Consolation, we could say Hologram, we could put Obelisk in there, we could put Campfire doesn't really count because it's kind of, it resets on you. There's more. I don't necessarily need to pick them all out, but there's more, right? I guess there's the legendaries. There's Glass Joker. Throwback doesn't really count. Steel Joker. Steel Joker counts. I guess Baseball Card doesn't really count. Steel Joker is here. Steel Joker counts for sure. It's Constellation. It's Hologram. There's one more. Not Throwback. Maybe it is just those. Madness. Yeah, I guess Madness counts. Yeah, so all these scaling Exmult Jokers. Why is the cat the most fun one? Oh, Vampire. Vampire, yeah. Let's not forget the Drizzler. Can't believe we forgot about the Drizzler. There's so many Jokers. Look at how many Jokers there are. Come on. Drizzle, thank you for the gifted sub for Misty. Okay, so the cat, you don't need that many lucky cards for it to be useful. And the lucky cards that you have, you don't need to play all of your lucky cards every round. Lucky Cat, you don't have to spend money. So I guess like sometimes with the cat, sometimes you play lucky cards, you play hands that you wouldn't otherwise play. Playing a hand costs you $1, but maybe we play plenty of hands anyway. Maybe losing $1 to play a hand is not that big a deal. We do that for other scaling plus mode jokers. We do that all the time. Maybe that's not a big deal. Has RNG elements, so sometimes you get multiple activations in one round. That's very exciting. We said we didn't like the RNG elements of Misprint. We said we didn't like the RNG elements of the Bloodstone. So the problem with Bloodstone and Misprint is I have nothing, and then I'm hoping that this gives me something. And sometimes it continues to give me nothing. Same with Bloodstone. I have no molt, and I'm hoping that this is going to give me the molt I need, and sometimes it doesn't. Whereas like the cat, you already know where the cat is at, right? You already know how big it is, and you've already planned around that. You've already planned your hands around that, and then sometimes it gets a little bit bigger. Incrementally, it gets a little bit bigger. The swings, the RNG swings on the cat are smaller swings than you get from Misprint, than you get from the Bloodstone. And so I think that makes it more palatable if it's like smaller RNG swings. Like business card is a bunch of RNG. Every time you play a face card, it's flip a coin time. Play 5 face cards, flip 5 coins. But because you're playing so many face cards, because it's happening so much, then it will average out. You know, we talk about the law of large numbers. We talk about the regression to the mean. And it's kind of the same thing with the cat. The lucky cards have 2 different activations. They have the money is 1 in 15 times, is not really something that you can predict, not really something that you can play around. But the plus molt that you get, the plus 20 molt, is 20% of the time. I think that's fairly consistent. Lucky Cat has synergy with retriggering effects. Retriggering effects are fun and exciting. Stupid says they're late. Was sleeping. Can we donate to expel Misprint like last time? Make a compelling case, Stupid. Tell me why Misprint should be expelled and not just, you know, kicked out of our class. I know you weren't here earlier. Also, the cat is cute. We were talking about the cat. The cat is cute, period. What else did Zeno say? Zeno also said, lucky cards are just like a fun enhancement in general. So you're going to make lucky cards anyway. You're going to play around lucky cards anyway. And then the cat just fits right in. Also, number go up. Lucy, please take me. Thank you for the 2 months. Misprint plus 0 on your last hand. That is deplorable. That is despicable. That is... I never want to see that again. I don't think it's as bad as loyalty card, though. But that you do make a compelling case. When are we going to talk about the red card? I mean, we're getting there. We're almost to the scaling ones. All right. Steven is like smiley face. It affects more cards, but it gives you a smaller number. I think that's an interesting dynamic. It affects cards which maybe, you know, there are other cards that care about face cards. By the way, why are there so many jokers that care about face cards? Like from a balance standpoint, like that feels wrong. That feels weird. Why does everything care about face cards? I guess like in poker, in card games or whatever, like face cards are highly valued as like higher ranking. And so, I mean, it kind of makes sense for that reason, that like the cards that would be kind of powerful and meaningful in other card games are also powerful and meaningful in Balatro. But I think more importantly than that is, at the end of the day, Thunk is an artist first, and so, you know, he'll get an idea for a Joker concept, he'll do an artwork for a Joker, and then based on what the artwork is, then okay, what is the Joker effect that fits that artwork, right? And so if I want to make a if I want to make a Joker that's a faceless Joker, okay, obviously that has to do with face cards, right? So I think it's really that. I think it's, maybe don't think too hard about it. It's really just Thunk made a bunch of Joker concepts, and it just happened out that, whoops, we made a bunch of them care about face cards. But then also you have the one boss that cares about face cards, and so you get punished for, you know, relying too much on that, leaning into that too much, potentially. I think Steven, for me, is just below Smiley Face, maybe also below Mystic Summit. I would take Steven over Popcorn, though. Faces are better thematic art. Yeah, more possible references to faces rather than numbers. Numbers are harder to reference. Walkie-talkie. Walkie-talkie cares about 10s and 4s. So we have all these jokers that care about just a single rank. We have Shoot the Moon cares about queens. We have Scholar cares about aces. Walkie-talkie cares about 10s and 4s. That's a huge deal. So when we're talking about Shoot the Moon, only care about queens, you draw about half of your deck. Each round, you draw about half of your deck. Maybe slightly more or slightly less, depending on what stake you're on, depending on your circumstances. But you draw about half your deck every round. And that means with something like Shoot the Moon, you can get a queen most of the time. You can get 2 queens some of the time. You get none queens like a third of the time, which is pretty brutal. And then it does nothing. I think of Shoot the Moon as kind of like Mystic Summit, where it doesn't do anything until you've used all your discards. And then after you've used all your discards, then you still have to hold the queens in hand, and that really limits what hand you can play. You can't hold 3 queens and play a flush at the same time. Maybe. Very difficult. But it is a lot of molt. 13 per queen. So misprint is Shoot the Moon is kind of like misprint, right? So whether or not you get the plus 13 molt depends on the randomness and how your deck is shuffled. It depends on whether you draw the queens or not. And so when you use the misprint, when you submit the hand, you don't know whether or not it's going to score. With Shoot the Moon, it's different. It's better in the sense that you already know you've lost. You already know you've not drawn your queens. Or you draw your queens and then you know that you're safe. You know that you're fine. You can play around it, right? I would say Shoot the Moon, just like in power level, is stronger than the Sinful Jokers. It's stronger than Steven. Probably stronger than Mystic Summit. Yeah. 13 is a lot of molt. At the end of the day, 13 is a lot of molt. I think I would put it above Smiley Face. I would put it below Swashbuckler. And then so using this as context, okay, then how do we feel about Walkie-talkie? Walkie-talkie is nicer because if I have twice as many cards that I care about, then I'm for sure going to draw at least one of them every round. I'm going to draw at least 3 of them most of the time. I would say Walkie-talkie for me is just above Shoot the Moon, but maybe less than Swashbuckler. I think Shoot the Moon has like a fun flavor if you're not familiar. The card game Hearts, the Queen of Spades is meaningful in Hearts, and different cards are worth different numbers of points. The Queen of Spades is worth 13 points, and so that's why Shoot the Moon gives you a plus 13. So like, if you don't like Shoot the Moon, you could ask the question, is there any way to change it? Is there any way to rework it? I think the answer is no. I think thematically it's perfect. Maybe if it's weak, you just change the cost. You just make it a cheaper Joker, $3 Joker, $4 Joker, something like that. But I think it's fine. I think Walkie-talkie's fine. I think Scholar is the worst one because it's like Shoot the Moon. With Shoot the Moon, all I have to do is draw the queens. I don't have to play the queens. So I can draw the queens, play high card 4 times, play pairs 2 times or something like that. Scholar, you can't do that. Scholar, you draw the aces, you get 1 shot. You got to put them together. You can add 1 ace to a flush. You can add 1 ace to a straight, though, you know, with the straights, it's a little bit harder. I would say, you know, even worse than Smiley Face. Of course, Scholar, you get Molt and Chips, but I would put it below Steven because of the less consistency. I would put it below all of the Sinful Jokers. I would put it below Jolly Joker. Actually, Scholar just makes me unhappy when I see it. I'd rather have Jimbo. Drizzle, thank you for another gifted sub. For Joss. Also, Stupid, thank you for paying the tax. Thank you for the $15 for the Trevor Project. If I didn't call it out already. Okay. Are we talking about the scaling jokers, or should we talk about the chips jokers first? We put Sly Joker up here. We said Sly Joker has the power to create something from nothing. Sly Joker, you have to play a pair. So Ice Cream's even better, right? Why can't I? Okay, it will let me do that. Blue Joker is like Ice Cream, but it's not perishable. I would say then Blue Joker is better than the Fist. Ice Cream is probably better than the Fist. All right. What about Banner? So here's the thing about Banner. A lot of people dislike that when you're playing on higher stakes, the banner is, you have one less discard, and so the banner is weaker. That's not necessarily a banner problem. That's a blue stake problem. That's a higher stake problem. Why do we have this stake that gives us a -1 discard in the first place? You know, why can't we just get rid of that stake and replace it with something else that's more interesting? The problem with the -1 discard stake is it makes it more difficult to play 5-card hands. So what you do instead is, okay, well, I'm just going to play pairs on high card instead. Maybe sometimes 2-pair instead. And if I'm playing pairs, the minus discard doesn't affect me at all, right? The main way that the minus discard hits you is we're looking at, okay, you got black stake gives you Eternals, and then once you get to blue stake, you have the -1 discard. If your plan is to only play 1 5-card hand per round, 1 straight per round, or 1 flush per round, I don't actually care about the -1 discard. I'm only playing 1 hand anyway. 2 discards is plenty. 2 discards, play an extra hand as a discard, that's fine. And then you get your 1-shot flush. But once you hit purple stake, that's the one where now we have the higher scoring requirements. Because I need more points, I need to play more hands. I need 2 flushes per round. I need a better straight per round. And so now the minus discard actually matters all of a sudden. So the gold stake used to be, by the way, gold stake used to be -1 hand size instead of rental jokers. It was -1 hand size. And orange stake used to be, instead of perishable jokers, it was the booster packs had increasing price each ante. So like in ante 1, you got $4 booster packs. In ante 2, you got $5 booster packs. In ante 5, you got like $10 booster packs or something like that. And so the idea was, okay, well, if I have these increasing cost booster packs, I'm missing out on the planet cards, which would reward me for playing higher ranking hands. I'm missing out on the Arcana packs and the Tarot cards, which would enable me to play those higher ranking hands. And so with the -1 hand size gold stake before, well, with the orange stake, you couldn't afford any booster packs, period. That was it. No booster packs. Only jokers. And then, okay, with the -1 hand size, now I can't play any 5-card hands at all. If I get the jokers that allow me to play high card, then I win very easily. Because if I'm playing high card, I don't care about Celestial packs, I don't care about Arcana packs. If I have the jokers, I just play high card, that's easy. Easy win. If I don't get those jokers, then it's just miserable loss where you have no fighting chance. And so we fixed that. We said, okay, -1 hand size, that sucks, let's get rid of that. The problem with that is not that it made the game difficult. The problem is that it made the game too narrow in terms of like what kind of strategies were viable. And the -1 discard blue stake does that same thing. It makes it so that pairs, of course, not affected at all. All of these other strategies, very, very difficult. So the idea is, okay, let's rework the blue stake, let's replace it with something else. We want to replace it not with something that makes the game easier, but makes the game more diverse, makes the game different in a different, or makes the game difficult in a different way. I think the introduction of the perishable and the rental jokers made the game more difficult than it was before, if your plan was to play high card. Now, you know, high card, you rely on certain jokers. Now those jokers appear as perishables and then rentals, and then so it's harder to win than it was before. But overall, you know, better for the diversity of the game. And so for that reason, okay, you know, banner, don't blame the banner for, you know, not being bigger. I think, wait, are we frozen here? We might be frozen here. Uh-oh.